Speed sent to YouTube. All right. And we are live. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the week 4 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report here on the SIN YouTube channel. Mike Rifkin, the old ops guy with you. Old ops guy, good morning. How are you?
I am doing okay. Fun, long night. Glad I woke up for this morning's report.
Well, it was a hard day's night. Shout out the Beatles. All right. So we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about the week 4 action today. We are going to go over what happened Thursday night at Snoopy Stadium as well. We will also update you on some injuries. Mark, you just noted Devontae Adams is not playing today.
Along with Max Crosby as well.
Oh, Max Crosby's official. Okay.
Yes. They are both out
All
for
right.
today's game.
They're both out. So that is big for the Las Vegas Raiders. 1 week after Antonio Pierce called them out. So, hold on 1 second as I get the rundown in front of me. But we will start with the action that took place at MetLife Stadium on Thursday night, which saw Mark's Dallas Cowboys get back to 500. They are 2-2 after a 20-15 victory over the New York Giants. Although most people will probably say at what cost based on what happened. For the Cowboys, Dak Prescott got 22 of 27, 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 7 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. For the Giants, Daniel Jones, 29 of 40, 281 yards and an interception. And rookie Malik Nabers, 12 receptions, 115 yards in the loss. He also left the game with a concussion, but according to all reports, is doing well at the moment.
Yeah, he's not expected to
So,
miss
Mark,
any
your thoughts on
time.
the game Thursday?
Um, Sorry to hear about Malik Nabers. I think this kid has a lot of potential, but the good thing is it's not a serious concussion. They just held him out because of precautions. Let's go back to Thursday night's game, which saw the Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants by 5. Dak Prescott looked good, looked fine. CeeDee Lamb looked fine, but the same problems still exist. Dallas has no run game. I'm sorry. Dallas has to throw the ball 50 times. I don't care. Rico Dowdle is good for a few, Zeke for a couple. This team is now a passing team. Dak Prescott, you're going to see, is going to throw 50 attempts a game. The New York Giants did not play horribly. Their defense, played solid. They did lose, but they weren't blown out. They weren't embarrassed. Um, Daniel Jones, no touchdowns in the interception. Hats off to the Dallas secondary for preventing that after back-to-back weeks of absolute trash. Is this a turning point for the Dallas Cowboys? No, it's the New York Giants. No offense, Corpus Christi. Um, Dallas Cowboys are in a position right now that the next loss, I think Mike McCarthy's gone. I don't think there is a way that Mike McCarthy stays on with one more loss coming up. But hats off to my boys winning 20-15. The Dallas Cowboys will have another tough one this week, but we'll get to that as we allude during the week.
Well, here's my thing, Mark. And you wrote the lack of a running game. That's kind of been the theme of a Mike McCarthy team for the most part, where they at times abandon the run, but it goes back to the Jerry statement from the offseason where they were all in. And now you're going into a year where your running backs are Rico Daddle, Deuce Vaughn, and they brought back Zeke.
Right.
And on Thursday night, as I pull up the box score from ESPN, the Cowboys ran the ball 23 times for 80 yards. 11 carries went to Rico Dowdle, 5 carries went to Zeke, 2 went to Hunter Lipke, and
Yeah.
3 went to CeeDee Lamb, and then 2 for Dak, which I believe were just the kneel downs at the end of the game.
Correct.
So right away, yeah, they had a run game. It wasn't an effective running game, but it was there.
It was there, but
But,
it's not what Dallas fans are used to seeing with a number one power rusher who's getting 8 yards on first down.
right, and that's where the whole Derrick Henry comment came into
Saquon
play last
Barkley.
week.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you know going into the year or going into the off season, running back was going to be a need. Listen, Rico Dowdle, nice player, hasn't shown he's the number one running back.
Correct.
Deuce Vaughn, nice player, hasn't shown he's the number one running back. You bring back Zeke, and I know you're going to say, feel good, it's a great thing. But Zeke isn't what Zeke was 3 or 4 years ago. To take pressure off of Dak Prescott, who's the guy? Just to go further out, your division rival, your biggest threat in the division is Philadelphia.
Yes.
What did they do to get pressure off of Jalen Hurts? They brought in Saquon Barkley. Now, should Dallas have counterpunch and run Derrick Henry? I'm not saying it had to be Derrick Henry. It had to be somebody.
Yes.
It had to be somebody. And they chose not to do it, whatever the reason was. That's on Jerry. Now, the other thing is this. You're right. Dak Prescott played very well on Thursday night. And I don't blame Dak Prescott for all the issues the Cowboys have.
No, I don't either.
But I will say this again, and this is where I turn to Jerry Jones. Here's how the reception leaders lined up on Thursday night. CeeDee Lamb, 798 and a touchdown. Jake from State Farm Ferguson, 7 for 49. Jalen Tolbert, 3 for 24. Brandon Cooks, 1 for 16. Rico Dowdle, 1 for 15, touchdown. Hunter Lipke, 2 for 14. Zeke, 1 for 5. The depth at receiver is another issue. Because arguments, if something happens to CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys are screwed at that position.
Right. They're not incorporating Braden Cooks as much as I thought they would, or in the beginning of the season. Braden Cooks was brought in to take all the pressure off of CeeDee Lamb, to get CeeDee Lamb more one-on-ones. But we haven't seen Cooks get the attention from Prescott that he needs. We're still in week 3. I don't start putting a team down until at least week 5. So I give
Unless
them
you're the
2 more
Carolina
weeks.
Panthers.
I give them 2 more weeks before I start making my major criticisms. My major criticism right now is the run game. Now, to allude to what Mike was saying, at what cost? What was he meaning by that? The Dallas Cowboys lost 2 of the biggest parts of their defense this past week. Micah Parsons to a high ankle sprain, in which he is going Terrell Owens style and trying to do the isolation chamber thing, trying to get the ankle ready for instead of the 4 week timetable to make it a 2 week. I don't need to rush him back in my opinion. Demarcus Lawrence is another issue. He tore some muscle in the lower part of the right part of his foot near the arch, near the plantar fascia. He will miss several weeks. And this is a huge
He's going to go to
downfall.
IR.
He's going to miss several weeks. And this is huge for a Dallas defensive line that is really, really poor right
Another position that's thin too.
now. Yeah. So, what are the Cowboys going to do? You want to know what? 10 years ago, I probably could give you three scenarios. With the way things are being run in Jerry World up there, I can't even give a concise answer where they're going to go.
Well, and here's the thing. We are so early in the season to where certain teams, we probably know two teams maybe who are definitive sellers at the trade deadline.
Right.
And, are they willing to trade at the moment? And because it's going to be such a need for the Cowboys, they may have to give up something they don't want to. The pick gets higher or whatever it's going to be. That's going to be a very interesting conversation. But to further that point, the Cowboys D-line had issues. Listen, I love Al Michaels and I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think they're actually really good together on the prime games. Herbstreit kept talking about this, how the Cowboy run defense improved against the Giants as opposed to the prior 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks ago, the Dallas Cowboys faced Alvin Kamara. Last week, they faced the duo of Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Those are three very good players. Then they go and play Daniel Jones and Devin Singletary. Yes, I expect their run defense to be better against Devin Singletary and Daniel Jones. Call me when they slow down a really good rushing attack. That's all I'm going to say. And to be honest, too, look, the Cowboys secondary was nothing to write home about either. Malik Neighbors had himself a day. The Giant receivers had some drops as well. Wan'Dale Robinson had a huge one where on a little screen pass where if he just goes, they probably get first and goal.
Easy.
Or he may score, who knows? Darius Slayton had one. But again, the Cowboy defense has had issues without Dairy Queen Dan Quinn for all year so far. Other side of the ball, the Giants fall to 1-3. We can talk about how good Malik Neighbors was, and he was great. I thought the Giant defense played well enough in this game. They showed,
I was actually kind of impressed on how well they played.
But I'm out. I'm out on Daniel Jones.
Oh, I don't think Daniel Jones and the Giants are going anywhere. And as you pointed out at the beginning of the season when we started, this is an opt-out year for the Giants on Daniel Jones's contract. So we'll see a major changing of the guard at the end of the season there, unless a miracle happens.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not expecting that miracle. I don't know if Giant fans are expecting that miracle. They could. I have no idea. But here's what I'm out on, though, when it comes to Daniel Jones. I'm out on the fact. Let me phrase that better. Here's why I'm out. 2 years ago, the Giants made the playoffs. They won 10 or 11 games, whatever it was, made 11. The playoffs. We can sit here and tell you there were 3 reasons why the Giants made the playoffs two years ago. One was, be frank, they got lucky. They got lucky. Lamar Jackson fumbles a football at the inside the 10-yard line. They get a 2-point conversion week 1 to win a game. There's some luck involved with that. 2, They surprised people by how well they played, how competitive they were. 3 was they had a healthy Saquon Barkley. That was massively important. So what you saw last year from the Giants was more realistic. They won 6 games because they don't have the same level of talent as some of these other top tier teams. And those same things came to show on Thursday night, where they don't have a number 2 wide receiver. They have a Malik Neighbors who's turning into a 1 after 2 really good game or 3 really good games. But outside of that, what scares you on the Giants offense? Nothing. So, and I don't, it's not all on Daniel Jones, but I just haven't seen the improvement from year 1 to make me believe he's your guy.
Yep.
So that's why if you're a Giant fan and you watched the Georgia Alabama game last night, you may be salivating at Jalen Milroe or Carson Beck, depending on where you.
I was about to say, don't leave out Carson Beck.
I will not leave out Carson Beck. Or if you're fed up with Daniel Jones now, depending on what the price is, hey, check in on Bryce Young and see what you could get. See what yeah. Listen, it's probably not a high price at this point. You know, we talked about that last week. But I just think at the end of the day, if we're talking about who's least likely to come back to New York next year, whether it's Joe Shane, Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll, I think the answer is easy, and it's Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So, Giants fall to 1-3. They go to Seattle next week. The Cowboys on Sunday Night Football next week go to Pittsburgh. I believe it's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. Old school. We're going Terry Bradshaw versus Roger Staubach.
I wish that was the case there.
Yeah, so you brought up the Parsons and Lawrence stuff. That is massive for this defense. In a game where they're going to have to contain Justin Fields next week.
This is true. Quick note from the visibly impaired member of our unit does believe the Giants will only get 2 more wins this entire season.
Hold on. Now he's changing things up because now I'm going to go through the Giants' schedule. I'm going to try to see where I can find these. Hold on. All right. So next week they're going to go to Seattle. They're going to lose that game. Then they play the Bengals. Why is Giants Bengals a Sunday night game?
I haven't figured that one out either. Lost.
That's a lot. Philly at home.
Lost.
At Pittsburgh on a Monday night.
Definite loss.
If TJ Watt doesn't play, they got a shot.
Maybe.
At home against the Commanders.
50-50.
Yeah, that one they got a shot, and they should have beaten the Commanders the first time. The Panthers in Germany. That game they should win.
They should win that, yes.
The Bucks, they'll lose that. The Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
They'll lose.
To make Mark really angry, they could win that one. The Saints.
No way.
Probably lose. The Ravens, they'll probably lose. At the Falcons.
If Kirk Cousins shows up, the one that I know, they have a shot.
You know what? If this game was in the Meadowlands, I would give them a shot. In Atlanta, I don't know.
In Atlanta will be much tougher, but I have no faith in Kirk Cousins.
Then they play the Colts.
That they could win.
That could be a win. And then at Philly, week 18. If the game doesn't matter to Philly, they can win that game.
And that game probably won't mean anything anyway.
Yeah.
By that time.
Yeah. maybe four. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But so that's where the Giants are at the moment. The Cowboys 2-2, Giants 1-3. We'll see what happens going forward. All right. So one of the games, Mark, you wrote the pregame on uh, uh, today are the Texans and the Jaguars. And the Jacksonville Jaguars sit with a record of 0-3. And they are I believe they're 1-8 if you combine the last 2 years over their last 9 games.
It sounds right. I don't have it up in front of me, but that
Yeah.
does sound right.
And they look like the lost puppy organization. So the question is simple. What the hell has happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I mean, when you look let's go back 2 years. They were up and coming. They were talked about on every facet from defense to offense with the receiving core, with ETN doing well with running bar. And let's not leave out Sunshine. Let's not leave
Yeah.
out Lawrence here. He was playing well. Over the first 3 weeks, he's looked like Ryan Leaf. And I'm sorry, that is a harsh way to put it. That's how bad he has looked. The running game has not gotten anywhere. ETN the eighth right now. He's not ETN whatever junior. It's the eighth version. This guy's not doing anything. What has changed? The receivers are there. The line is not horrible. It's not fantastic, but it's not horrible. But you look at this Jacksonville defense. Mike, you and I could go out there and pick it apart. No, I am not actually challenging this because I cannot afford to get slammed to the ground. But I'm just saying, it's like watching a game of Madden when you're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Okay. The worst thing to happen to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is going to sound ridiculous, was that comeback win over the Chargers in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that set an expectation and a standard. They're the next big thing. Here they come. Well, since that time, all they've done is lay an egg. And
There's been no life.
right. And listen, I love listen, I don't think we're gonna disagree here. I think we both like Trevor Lawrence.
I think he's a good quarterback.
I loved the pairing of him with Doug Peterson. I did. I'm starting to wonder about that marriage, though, at this moment, because there's something not clicking. This is a team, excuse me, that should be scoring 20 points a game, 24 points a game. They shouldn't be out there on a Monday night getting obliterated by Josh Allen, despite how
Right.
well Josh Allen's played to start the year. They shouldn't be an 0-3 football team.
And they shouldn't be a 3-0 football team either.
No.
They should be sitting one and two right now is where they should be sitting, honestly.
So they blew a 2-possession game to the Dolphins in week 1.
Yeah, right.
The game against Cleveland, whatever that was, it was. But what I saw on Monday night was unacceptable from a team that, listen, I may not have thought of them as a playoff team, but I thought they were a borderline team that was going to that could compete with Houston for the AFC South.
At least.
Right now, they have these now listen, they have the same record as a team like Cincinnati. Cincinnati, we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't know, you could see the light. They paid Trevor Lawrence all this money, and they're going, hey, you're our Superman, come and save us. Well, at the moment, Trevor Lawrence is just Clark Kent.
Right.
And you're right. They don't run the ball effectively. They were aggressive in free agency, bringing in a guy like Gabe Davis. Still waiting for him to have a breakout moment. And defensively, you're right. They don't get the stops. Let me pull up the stats here.
While he's pulling up stats, I remember watching when you watched them last year, they were one of the best teams on third down defensively. Third down and short, Jacksonville used to stop all the gap. They were good. It's
Teams
an
are
average. I believe they're giving up
39% again.
7 yards a game, 7 yards for first down. They're averaging giving up.
Teams are 39% to your point on third down through 3 games. They're
39,
71% on fourth down.
and that's ridiculous.
They do not have an interception on the season.
That's actually quite interesting.
And they have 5 sacks up front. They're giving up almost 110 rushing yards per game, 4 yards per attempt. Look. And by the way, going into today, if you're in a suicide pool, I wouldn't be against taking the Houston Texans today. They're going to be angry after what happened.
After last week's loss, yes. After last week's loss, which we'll get into, but I think Houston's out to prove who they are today.
Oh, they're on the hunt.
Yeah.
They're hunting Jaguar. Listen, this is a big game for Trevor Lawrence. And this is a big game for Doug Peterson. They've committed to both these guys. And if Trevor Lawrence continues to struggle, this again is going to be for the visually impaired guy who's probably listening. If Trevor Lawrence continues to struggle, they may book him in an AEW match against Hangman Page. Who knows?
And for the one half vision person, he actually understood that. Because there's no way I did.
We do not condone making fun of those people.
Excuse me, wrestling, the Fake's Turn. Check them out on the podcast.
That should be back hopefully this upcoming week. So check that out. All right, that's the good side. The good side. That's the bad side.
I was about to say, because that's the good side for Jacksonville. Wow.
Well, the good side is I think they're on the road.
That doesn't help them even much either.
Well, I mean, they weren't affected by the hurricane. By the way, everyone affected by the hurricane, thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, anyone down in Florida, the Gulf Coast area,
the Carolinas,
where Helene has made her wrath. I have friends, family I did hear from down there, but anybody out there who's down there, the Sports Insanity Network shares its sympathies and everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm. So, the Jaguars are the bad. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mark, they're 3-0. They're gonna go. They're gonna look to go 4-0 today. Play the Colts. Am I wrong to say I still don't believe in the Steelers?
I'm gonna get so slapped here by whether it's you driving from Long Island or Patrick from Rhinebeck. Pittsburgh's going 4-0 right now.
No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I think they win today too. I'm with you.
And then here's my call. Russell Wilson is traded at the trade deadline.
Well, that's where I was gonna go because
Justin Fields was the steal of the century. Russell Wilson, I look, 10 years ago, we all could say Russell Wilson was the premier quarterback in the NFL. He's, his time is up. I understand why Pittsburgh got him because of the five quarterbacks they had last year. Not one of them could throw the ball to a person. So you got a guy who can throw the ball. But then Justin Fields lands in your lap and you let them go at it. Russell gets hurt. You don't pull a quarterback who's taking you to 3-0.
Yeah. And listen, here's the thing about Justin Fields. Once you acquire him, he has to play. I don't care about the fifth year option that you could decline that because he's got to prove it to you. But you acquire a guy, he has to play for this reason. We simply don't know how good Justin Fields is. And through 3 games, listen, he ain't lighting the world on fire.
Nope.
But at the end of the day, he's led the Pittsburgh Steelers to a 3-0 record. Now, we could sit here and talk about who the Pittsburgh Steelers have played and beaten. We could talk about all that. The end of the day is if you read or if you listen to the Wishbone Shotgun podcast, check it out. The back half of the Steelers schedule is what's really tough. They have all 6 division games after their bye week. They've got the Chiefs and the Eagles after their bye week. The only 2 very difficult games that the Steelers have prior to their bye week. Next week, they host the Cowboys.
Yep.
And then in a couple of weeks, they'll play the New York Jets.
We'll get
Outside
to
of that, the
this.
first half of the Steelers schedule is not difficult.
Quick note for that quick Dallas Pittsburgh game. We'll get into that much later next week. It's the same type of problem for Dallas as the last 3 weeks. You got a scrambling quarterback. You got to contain him. That's it for
Now,
now.
again, Justin Fields has played well. The question I was going to ask is, what do you do with Russell Wilson? You said trade him at the deadline.
Yeah.
I think you might have to trade him sooner. I think there are going to be teams who need a quarterback at the moment.
Giants.
Well, no, that's not even what I was thinking.
Mm.
I can't believe I'm going to implore this statement.
You're going to, okay, wait.
There is one team, and there is one team only that should trade for the services of Russell Wilson.
Seattle Seahawks.
Nope.
The
The
Miami
Miami
Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Yeah. Well, considering Tim Boyle's leading your team today, yes, I think
No,
that would be.
no. It's
It's
going to
not
be,
Boyle?
it is not going to be O'Boyle rules. It is going to be Tyler Snoop Huntley, who plays for the Dolphins tomorrow night against the Tennessee Titans.
I got to look at the over on how many times he gets sacked.
You can look at the over on how many times he gets sacked. Listen, whether it's him or Skylar Thompson, it doesn't matter. Neither one is that great of a quarterback.
Right.
Here's the thing. Russell Wilson costs you nothing in money because he's making like $2 million this year. He's going to cost you nothing in trade value because he doesn't have any value right now. You're trading strictly out of need.
Mm-hmm.
So what it has to be, maybe it's a 5th round pick that turns into a 4th if certain things hit. The Dolphins are too talented to have a wasted year. And if Russell, let's be real honest here, if Russell Wilson struggles with the likes of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, then we know Russell Wilson's as cooked as when he was cooking. But Justin Fields has earned the job in Pittsburgh. No matter what Mike Tomlin says, Russell Wilson should be acquired by the Dolphins.
It's in all realisticness, that's the. I mean, I don't disagree with Mike. After losing two in week one, and you saw the hit coming on Skyler in week two. I mean, my God, that poor guy. I don't even know where you want to place this guy. I know nothing about him really. So it's not like I can really make a comment what he can do and what he can't do. I just hope that the Dolphins line give him more time than they gave Thompson last week.
Well, they're gonna have to get the ball out quickly, and well, they're playing a Titan defense that isn't as great as good as the Seahawks. So, by the way, another great game tomorrow. Seahawks Lions. We'll get into that in a few minutes. That arguably could be the game of the week.
It's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna be a what?
A good game.
Ah,
What do you
you
think I
know,
said?
let's dive into it. The Seahawks are one of the few undefeated teams left.
And look at the caliber that not only Geno Smith and DK Metcalf and the receivers are playing. This defense is really stepping up and playing well.
Yeah, the Mike McDonald special.
I mean, you look at the Detroit Lions. You got Jared Goff, Gibbs and Montgomery in your backfield. You got Amara St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta is active for today's game after leaving last week with a leg injury. He will be active for today's game. That's a plethora. And if anybody can name the movie right now and type it into the text, you get bonus points. What is a plethora? Would you say I have a plethora? They have a plethora. Let me tell you, this is a team.
I'll say this too. I'm very intrigued by how they'll line up Seattle, Reek Woolen and Devin Weatherspoon against Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. That
Well,
really intrigues me because that is a young, feisty corner duo in Seattle.
it is. And I would say, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep step for step with Amara St. Brown. Probably top three receiver in the league right now. Jameson Williams is starting to prove himself, which is good. But if you commit to the front, they can check off and easy. You can have Devin Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs on a quick sweep screen and change the whole. The Lions have too many options at offense with what they can do. And that's not a bad thing.
And you flip side that though, so do the Seattle Seahawks.
And I don't know if Walker will be back this week. I know
But
Charbonnet.
they're hoping, but
I was
still,
about to say I know Charbonnet had most of the first reps in practice this week.
yeah, I
Um,
think they're ruling him a game time decision.
okay, but still, look at that three-headed serpent that's running the field:
Yeah.
DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith Ninjigba. He to me was one of the biggest steals of the draft last year.
Oh, he's. Let me tell you something. If you're going to draft a receiver, make sure they're either Ohio State or LSU because those right now are your two wide receiver universities. Jackson Smith and Jigba, you mentioned it, how great he is. Listen, Tyler Lockett's kind of been a forgotten guy for the first couple of weeks. And I think this is the game where you unlock Tyler Lockett for this reason. We love the Lions. We love everything about Dan Campbell biting kneecaps off.
Oh yeah.
Their weakness is still the secondary. Those young players have to improve.
And it can't be a gradual improvement. The Lions have the team to compete for the Super Bowl. There is no question in my mind. The NFC North is a much more competitive division than it was last year. So the Lions have a lot of work to do because when you have teams like the Vikings and the Packers right on your heels, we're not going to talk about the Bears because they're irrelevant right now as they have been for the last 10 years. Um,
No, but even them to a standpoint, they're playing competitive football.
yes, but when it comes down to it, you're going to have three teams that it's going to come down to the matchups between each team. And today we have one of those such matchups where we have the Green Bay Packers facing off against the Minnesota Vikings. This
And Jordan Love should be back.
he is slated to start. The question is going to be: is he 100% to go?
But here's the other thing: if you're the Packers, why rush him? You just paid him all this money. Why rush it? I get it, it's a divisional game, but at the same time, it's just like, listen, we made a 4-year investment in Jordan Love. I'm okay giving him another week.
And I mean, if we're talking week 13, week 14,
Yeah,
yeah, different
absolutely.
story.
Week 4.
You're in week 4 of the season, and no offense to the fish slaying samurai we have as a president, I don't think he would mind either because what is behind Jordan Love? Nothing. So, it,
Listen, Malik
it,
Willis remembered the Titans. He had a great
it,
game.
he did have a good game, but he has what between the Titans and the Packers, 2 NFL games under his belt, three maybe.
Yeah.
So you want to protect Jordan Love here. So I see a heavy game from players like Josh Jacobs. We'll see an increase in carries. And don't look for Love to stay too much in the pocket. I mean, scramble outside the pocket. Look for him to be doing quick screens or quick slants.
Here's going to be the other part. This may put a little bit more on the plate of Josh Jacobs. You
Well,
know, you signed him. He had a pretty good first 2 games. Didn't have a great one against Tennessee last week.
yeah.
But, this is why you brought him in. You flip it to the other side of the ball. Listen, if Josh Allen didn't exist, you can make the case Sam Darnold right now would be your front runner for NFL MVP.
Well, we had mentioned this in the beginning when we started this season. Sam Darnold is off to the same start he was with the Carolina Panthers, 3-0. Now the question is, what happens? What happened? Who did they? Do you remember who Carolina lost to the snap that streak? The Dallas Cowboys. They play a tough team in the Green Bay Packers today. And you're going to have Jair Alexander against Justin Jefferson all day. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
They
But
should
Jordan
be.
Addison is back and will be playing today.
Addison is back. So,
yeah,
and listen, Aaron Jones revenge game. Aaron
that's
Jones,
yeah.
back in Green Bay for the first time. So there's a lot of storylines to that one, Minnesota Green Bay, and then I think the other part is, listen, we're talking about the offense. Both these defenses have been fantastic. Brian Flores has done a great job with the Viking defense, and Jeff Hatley's done a really good job with the Packer defense.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah,
And
so
it shows by the way both teams have been playing.
I mean Minnesota, especially the beatdown they put on the Texans last week. Ooh wee! Nice face. You're like, yeah.
I had friggin' CJ. CJ didn't do jack crap. He got the JC for me there.
CJ didn't do diddly squat.
Right. Unless he was buying Diddy some oil, and we hope not.
All right. We also got a playoff rematch today. The Eagles go to Tampa. They'll play the Bucks.
This is a more important game for the Eagles, and I hate to say
Yep,
it that way.
100%.
I hate to say it that way because the Eagles are my most hated rival in the NFC East. There will be no AJ Brown today as he is still out with a hamstring. But
No
I don't think
Devontae
that
Smith.
Devontae Smith is listed as questionable. So there is no word. We'll probably get that within 10 minutes, though, because we're coming into under 2 hours. Devontae Smith was practicing on a limited fashion, but that's about it. I don't know if he's set to play today. But if he's not, then you got to look at the plays of Dallas go there. You're going to need Saquon Barkley big time. And you signed you traded for Johan Dotson. If you're down Devonta Freeman and Devontae Freeman, sorry, and did I just say Freeman? When Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, you have a wide receiver, tight end, running back through that is not evenly matched up for Tampa Bay. So Jalen Hurts needs to come out today and play lights out football.
They'll also be without Lane Johnson, who
Oh
suffered a
God,
concussion last week. So
I didn't know he was out. Like,
yeah, he did
that's
not.
that's a big hole on the offensive line to fill too.
Yeah, he didn't clear the protocol in time for today's game. He'll be out. That's according to Ian Rappaport.
Uh, Tampa Bay,
Also, according to
go
Ian
ahead.
Rappaport, no Joe Mixon for the Texans against the Jags.
He was listed as questionable. That sucks. All right, so
So,
we'll
so
guess we were
this
looking
is
at Damian Pierce today.
and Cam Akers. So
Yeah.
we'll get more on that. But you're right in the sense of this game is. I'm going to put it this way. I think this game is must win for the Philadelphia Eagles because I'm tired. I am sick and I am tired of Nick Sirianni. And what I mean by this is two things. One, at some point, dude, you got to just take the points when they're there. Kicking field goals is not a bad thing, Nick Sirianni. I'm not just saying that because Jake Elliott's on a fantasy team. I'm saying
Mhm.
it because it's smart. But two, when this team went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, we are like, man, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts is that guy, Goddard at tight end. Last year, they went through what I thought was an identity crisis. And when they were choking at the end of the year, because they did, they choked. It wasn't just an identity crisis. It was amnesia because they didn't know who they were or what they were doing. Now it's now it's gotten to the point where it's kind of the same thing this year. They're winning some games, but they're being saved by Saquon Barkley. And this is becoming a theme because this coach got the ability last year to fire both coordinators.
Yeah.
And now this team is still trying to find its way. Well, at some point, when you have the aspirations they do, this is a game where you have to put your foot down and go, look, we're with this can be a statement win with no AJ Brown, with no Devontae Smith. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably going to load 8 up in the box on Saquon. I would think that's Todd Bowles' plan. I have no idea. So now Dallas Goddard. You brought up Jahan Dotson before.
Yep.
These guys are going to have to perform. And so it will behoove of Nick Sirianni when he's in those positions of, hey, it's 4th and 4 from the 22. We don't have the personnel. Just kick the field goal.
And we've seen a lot and a change like that. And I'm sorry, Mike, to jump on you.
No, go
There has
ahead.
been a lot more teams this year, except for two who actually have kickers who can hit over 65 yards. A lot more teams are taking less of a chance of putting 3 points up on the board and going for it on 4th and 3 around the 30 lately. More teams are seeing that kicking the ball is not as effective as putting up a touchdown. Mind you, yes, it is less points, but are we starting to see a trend of the field goal being phased out?
Yeah. And look, for Philly, they're coming off that good win against the Saints. The Bucks are coming off a really bad loss to the Denver Broncos, in which Bo
And
Nix was
uh,
sensational.
had also got his first touchdown last week. Hats off to him. I
Yeah.
just like his name.
Bo Nix.
Yeah. He's nowhere Bo knows, but Bo Nix should be doing Razor commercial. With this, I don't get any nicks on my face. Anybody steals that, I claim it. It's mine. Hashtag it's recorded.
Well, here's the problem. Dude's a baby face. I don't even
Well, I
know.
know. I just
I
realized
don't even know if he can
that.
grow a beard.
Won't have to worry about a blade in that razor. I'll just shave with nothing else. Still look good.
Uh, yeah, so the Bucks are looking to bounce back. And Baker really for the first time had a really didn't have a great start last week.
He had an end of Cleveland Brown career start. That's where I'm going to put it. Just one of those games that anything he threw was just wrong.
Yeah. And so we got Eagles, Bucks. We got a divisional game. We got the Chiefs and the Chargers today. By the way,
And
same thing with Jordan Love, with Justin Herbert. Herbert looks like he's gonna go.
Herbert is slated to start. But Mike, I'm going to take you back to the question you asked me with the Cowboys. At what cost?
Yep.
I mean, you have no Keenan Allen. You have no Mike Williams. Quentin Johnson hasn't been too bad in the first 3 games of the season. Why am I risking my $240 million quarterback with the fact that the aspirations of the Los Angeles Chargers, I'm sorry, all Chargers fans, slap me later, are going nowhere and nowhere fast?
Well, here would be my thing. I've got the bye week next week if I'm the Chargers. Why would I not give Justin Herbert 2 weeks to recover?
Another point. I didn't
Listen,
realize bye weeks are
listen.
starting already.
You want to beat. Listen, I get you want to beat the Chiefs. You want to do that. They're in your division. You're going to play them again. Hope for a split. Go out there with Taylor Heineke. Run the ball with J.K. Dobbins like you've done such a great job of the first couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and hope you can find a way to win. To me, again, like Jordan Love, you paid Herbert to be the guy. I need Justin Herbert to be that guy.
But Justin Herbert
Not
can't
today.
be that guy if he doesn't have anybody to throw to.
Well, and here's going to be the other problem. They're down, I believe Rashawn Slater's out. That's one tackle. Joe Alt, I believe, is a game time.
Joe Alt was just came up on the screen. I was just about to say, well, Joe Alt is out. That's huge.
Alt and Slater are both out. Guess what? Carl Loftus and Chris Jones, they going to eat fine tonight.
Let me tell
Especially
you.
if Herbert can't move.
Could we see a shutout, KC, over Los Angeles? Very possible.
I think the Chargers will put up some points. Listen, we know the plan. We're going to run the ball, try to keep Mahomes off the field. Flip it to the other side for just a second. For all of you people wondering when the Travis Kelce breakout game comes, it's today. He always feasts on the Chargers. He always feasts on the Chargers. And man, I don't know, man. This is good. This And by the way, after what Mahomes said last week after the Falcon game, where he said, "Yeah, we haven't played our best yet."
They're saving.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be Jim Harbaugh on the Chargers today. But
I don't know if I would either. I mean,
Mahomes coming out and saying that means he's got something on his mind.
yep.
All right. And then tonight's game, which is a good one. Oh, we got Dan coming in, it looks like.
Yes.
We got the Bills and the Ravens tonight on Sunday Night Football.
Welcome
Wait,
back in, Dan, our vice president.
I'm saying, did I just come in at the right time talking about the game that I'm gonna go to in
Oh, are you
Yes.
Buffalo?
going?
Yes. That's why I was like sitting back and I'm like, I can relax. Dan's got the floor, baby.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, this was planned out a while ago, so I'm stoked about it. Yeah, I'll be going with Moser and Zachary Haynes, our
Oh, good for
former.
Zach. If you want to leave Moser at the stadium, you can.
Well, he's our right back, so
Uh,
we can't do that. But we can leave him in his house till his car. You know what I mean?
yeah, carjack him, sure. Hot
It's nice.
wire it.
It's nicer than my car, but like, you know, yeah. I'm stoked about this game.
Have you been to M&T Bank yet or no?
No, this is my first time. I've been
Okay.
to FedEx. Well, excuse me, Northwest Stadium. I've been to Northwest Stadium in Landover, and I've
That's
been to
Commanders.
I have not been to M&T Bank, but I
Okay.
will be going there tonight.
Nice. Now, we are talking about Mark, two quarterbacks from the same draft class in Lamar and Josh Allen as well.
One picked at the front, one picked at the back.
I mean, if you look back at that class for a second, just for a second, Baker's career's been resurrected. Sam Darnold, to a degree, has been resurrected.
No. It was resurrected because of good coaching. I
Take
want
that, Adam Gase.
I want to make that a point. I want to hound it to Jet fans that we made a mistake with Adam Gase
Take
being the
that,
coach.
Adam Gase, and your
That's
buggy
what
eye
it is.
crap. And then you got Josh Allen. Then you had Josh Rosen, who
The
knows what
chosen
happened to
Rosen.
him.
Yeah.
And
He was
then
chosen
Lamar.
not to play anymore.
And then Lamar.
By far the best one of
The
that
draft, the
class.
biggest steal of the draft.
The best one in the draft is Lamar, by far. And it's not a knock to Josh Allen, but it's the damn truth. Lamar is the best of that draft. And the Ravens really have it good. And the part that, is just so amazing is the fact that he has grown. We obviously knew he was a runner coming into the league, but he's grown as a passer. That makes him extremely dangerous. And tonight's matchup is a matchup of runners who are learning and growing in the passing game, which is huge. Now, I think Josh Allen has the better passing because he had a lot of practice. He had Stephon Diggs for a few years and a bunch of tight ends that were very clutch. So, it's a thing.
The thing I'm very interested in this game is which defense prevents the opposing quarterback from using their legs. Whoever can slow down the opposing rushing game probably wins this game. Because the Ravens front, especially with Matabuki healthy, is really big. And the Bills are going to still be missing Terrell Bernard in this game, and they're going to be missing Matt Milano again in this game. So
He'll be
that
sitting
two-headed
down with his
monster of
cookies and
Lamar
milk.
and Derrick Henry.
Dan is basically getting to see a premier, exciting team with Lamar hiding the ball, going this way. Derrick Henry just trucking everybody. But
Right.
you want to know what I'm calling tonight? I'm calling for a Zay Flowers TD.
That's huge.
Okay.
I'm calling for a Zay Flowers TD.
Listen, I'll take that. Now, here's the real guy the Ravens got to get going, though. Mark Andrews.
Also, one of the slowest starts of the season, too.
Yeah, I'm very.
Excuse me. It, you look at this game and it's going to be a conundrum.
Uh, mhm. Did we lose Mark for a second?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about a conundrum. That's all I got.
Sorry.
Oh, there
Let's
you go.
try this again. Start it over. Mike, bring us back into the game you just talked about.
We're talking Ravens Bells. We were talking about
Thank
a
you.
conundrum.
Thank you. All right. So this way everybody's caught up. It is a conundrum because you don't know. We saw the Baltimore Ravens start off 0-2. So they weren't clicking on all notes. They came in not this week, last week, and handed the Dallas Cowboys their asses. And they didn't do it via the passing game. Yes, they had that one pass that went for like 70 yards, but that three-headed running game is scary. And I don't think there's a team out there that can stop it.
Yeah, listen. This is going to be a fun game. The Ravens apparently are going to wear their all blacks tonight, so they're going to black out the stadium. Listen. I think when you look at these two teams, along with Kansas City, I think those are the three best teams in the AFC at the moment. I know Baltimore's record doesn't reflect that, but here's the other part of this game, though. Both kickers have struggled a little bit. Justin Tucker's missed some kicks. Tyler Bass has missed some kicks. If this comes down to a game of kicks, who do you have more faith in? My money would be on Justin Tucker. All right. Dan, what are you looking for when you're at the game? What are you going to be watching for?
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere. Okay.
That to me is going to be one of the bigger keys of this matchup is, you're going to have a mixture of Bills and Ravens for sure. So I'm thinking obviously majority Ravens because it's a Ravens home crowd. It's not like, the Bills going into MetLife Stadium and, you're going to basically fill the whole stadium up with Buffalo Bills fans,
Mm-hmm.
while the Jets actually get nothing. But I'm looking for the atmosphere. Like I'm really, really intrigued by that idea of
Mm-hmm.
like what it's gonna look like and how people are gonna really like for instance, like if the Bills make a big play, the Ravens crowd goes crying. But if the Ravens make a big play, the crowd's gonna explode. And like what those big plays are gonna really bring about on the game. The crowd's gonna be a major factor. You can't
Mm-hmm.
you can't deny that.
All right. Should be a fun one. And we already talked Seahawks Lions for one of the games tomorrow night. All right. Mark, before we close out, who's your fantasy player of the day?
After looking, I mean, I have enough FanDuel running today that probably I should have one. I should get one right. No,
Not a
I made a
sponsor.
comment about somebody this morning, then Mike brought up a great point. Joe Burrow, I'm looking to lead three touchdowns in the air. Jamar Chase to have two of them T against the other one. And Burrow, no interceptions. Big day for Joe Burrow.
All right. Dan, you got a fantasy player of the day?
Um, I will say for my fantasy player of the day, I'm gonna go Josh Allen.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to keep the quarterback theme going with Mark. I'm going to go CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Because of what happened last week, the Texans are angry. I don't want to be the Jacksonville Jaguars today. So I'm going to go CJ Stroud. All right. That'll do it for the week 4 edition of the Sunday Sideline Report. We'll be back next week right here on the SIN YouTube page. Click, like, subscribe, join, whatever it is. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, at SInsanityReal. Go to the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Rate blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. And until next week, for the old ops guy, for Dan, I'm Mike. Enjoy week 4, everybody.